Leading up to the 1800s, many people from different corners of the world heard fables of this new land, holding tons of opportunities. The word of land west across the ocean from Europe brought many people to the new country of America. With the vast number of diverse groups settling in America, lots of conflicts would soon come to break out due to the lack of government in this new country, religious beliefs, and slavery. The numerous numbers of people migrating to America ultimately brought problems of crowding, less jobs, and limited food. So in an effort to create a life for themselves, Americans moved west to lands newly purchased from the French and Mexicans. France had owned 828,000 square miles of land in America, but they had no use for it anymore because the land was being used for farming to support troops in Haiti, which was no longer needed. So France sold it to America for $15 million. Some people would argue that westward expansion of the U.S. was unnecessary because of the invasive tactics used by the U.S. to acquire land. However, because of the rapid growing population in America, a need for farmland, new ways of moving west, and the promise of a new life, the Americans were more than justified in expanding westward. At the time of Manifest Destiny, the American population was booming. One major contributor of the growing population was immigrants. In 1850 through 1860, more than 5 million immigrants, mainly British, traveled to America to start a new life. The population itself was growing exponentially on top of the many immigrants. In 1800, there were only 6 million people residing in America, but only a short 55 years later, the population grew immensely. In 1855, more than 27 million people were living in America. Simply from the booming population of immigrants and exponential reproduction of humans in America, land became scarce. Not only did the West offer opportunities for land, but so did Texas. Texas, in the early 1800s, was part of Mexico, but through war, many Americans fought for Texas, because they believed the land of Texas was theirs and that it was their God-given right to have Texas. In 1845, the U.S. finally annexed Texas and declared their independence from Mexico. The solution to the problem of overpopulation was to tap into the untouched land west of the Mississippi. You see, back in the old days, Texas, Mexico, see, it was the same thing. You see, a lot of Americans can't grasp that part. And we are expanding westward. It's this place that they call Texas, just annexed, which, this land we presumably thought was Mexico at the time. Many people are thinking, oh, westward expansion, right? Well, why don't we go down the middle? Midwestern expansion. Yeah. Texas, lawless, fugitives, everything you can imagine. Texas, it happened, I promise. So my connections to this lawless, fugitive area run deep. So that's my take on the Midwestern expansion. Thank you very much. Another major reason why the Americans were justified in moving west was their need for farmland. With the rising number of people came a lack of food to feed them. Americans needed the ability to feed their citizens, so they looked to the West for an answer. And the West brought lots of fertile, untouched land, perfect for farming. The United States also wanted to be self-sufficient because they felt if they had to rely on other countries to feed their citizens, they'd become too reliant and become weak and easily overthrowable. One of the many things the West promised was farmland capable of feeding many Americans. The farmland offered by the West also acted as fuel to keep Americans self-sufficient by not having to rely on other countries to supply them with comida. Westward expansion was only made easier with the new ways of expanding west. One of the methods of westward migration was taking one of the many routes, part of a giant network of paths and trails. The Oregon Trail was one of the most popular trails, taken by an estimated 500,000 settlers, starting in Missouri and ending in Oregon. Not only that, but on May 10th, 1869, a new, detrimental machine for westward expansion was opened: the Transcontinental Railroad. It connected the east to west, marking the beginning of goods to easily be transported east-westward, with the ability to have marked trails with detailed summaries of travel time and other various information. Westward expansion was made simpler and safer. Therefore, more people felt enticed to expand west. The later creation of the railroad simplified travel to the finest, with the ability to make it westward much faster, cheaper, and safer than walking. Many of the people would be able to move out west and start up their new lives.
My granddaddy. Oh, yeah. Years ago, he raved about the Transcontinental Railroad. That was a cornerstone for westward expansion. People constantly going west. Being able to go from here to here, just like that was what brought on the westward expansion.
Arguably, one of the biggest motivators to expand west at the time was the promise of a new life when they heard word of the American dream. With the quick and growing crowding of the East, many problems arose. A major issue was the need for jobs to support the growing population. Without jobs, masses of people would become poor and not able to support their families. However, the West offered jobs such as farming, lumber, and becoming a business owner themselves. With the opportunity of jobs provided by the West, many people felt enticed to travel west. Another reason why Americans and immigrants went westward was to strike it rich with gold. Americans had received what is present-day Arizona, California, New Mexico, parts of Utah, Nevada, and Colorado in the treaty between Mexico and America. California would become the epicenter of West expansion for people traveling to strike it rich with gold. The common belief was that gold would be a quick and easy way to get money, and the easiest place to find gold was thought to be in the West. Some people oppose the idea of westward expansion because of the cruel ways America used to acquire land, like the Trail of Tears, which removed over 100,000 natives off of the land that had been in the tribes for generations. 5 different recorded tribes were ripped off their land and marched over 1,000 miles. Many natives were underdressed and underfed, leading to large numbers of people dying.
So it's kind of a sad topic, but my Cherokee people, we were brutally dragged off of our land, off west, and there were some tough times for our people, and how I look at it is just that it was torture. They lost their respect, their dignity, and it was just a very hard time. It's just a sad topic, and for my people, it's just sad, and that's what I think about westward expansion. Just a sad thing.
However, in this case, the good outweighed the bad, because with the West came many opportunities. The West gave room for many people to settle because of the exponentially growing population, as well as providing them with jobs crucial to life. Westward expansion was only made easier with the help of numerous trails and the groundbreaking creation of the railroad. Fertile lands great for farming were another thing that the West provided. Without the lands, people would not have been able to feed America and would have to turn towards other countries to supply them with food. Finally, one of the most notable reasons people expanded westward was to obtain the American dream. Many people at the time felt that any inconvenience in their life could be solved by the countless opportunities the West held. With all the opportunities existing in the West, capable of helping the American population, people were completely justified in the journey of expanding westward.